Thank you, Mr Speaker. This evening I rise to celebrate one of Tasmanian's true gentlemen, a gentleman who has inspired many across Tasmania for a range of reasons across his whole life, but a gentleman who right now is inspiring people through his courage. Mr Greg Green was present at a dinner on Saturday evening that was held to celebrate and recognise him. Greg is a building surveyor working out of Launceston, worked on projects all across Launceston, Tasmania, and has influence nationally, and 6 months ago was diagnosed with MND. 6 months ago, Greg and his beautiful wife Wendy noticed a few moments where things weren't quite connecting, and as a family received the diagnosis, and in true Greg fashion decided with his family to face and fight MND. He, being in the construction and consulting industry sector and working day in, day out with some incredible people in Tasmania, in Greg's way, continued to work and to share his story with those that he worked with. And it didn't take long for the Northern Tasmanian, but the entire Tasmanian community to step in behind Greg and his family and to help him fight what is, insert unparliamentary word here, a real cow of a disease. Some of his industry colleagues suggested early on that they would love to honour him and his services, his past services and ongoing services to the Tasmanian construction industry, and have a dinner. Greg thought this might have been a couple of guys down the pub having a beer and sort of, having a quiet moment together. It actually turned out, through the incredible work of a committee and some impassioned Northern Tasmanians, to be a dinner that packed out Launceston's largest dinner venue at the Country Club Tasmania and sold out by word of mouth within days before anyone else outside that inner circle could find out about it. And 350 people packed in literally to Country Club Tasmania on Saturday evening. And I know they could have sold twice or three times as many tickets to that event. The event was quite extraordinary for a number of reasons, and the reason why Greg actually agreed to have the event was, one, because he and his family know that whatever they can do to ensure that no other families in the future go through what they're facing, they wanted to stand up and fight back on MND, and to do that they wanted to raise funds to contribute to future research. And the incredible people in this industry and within Greg's network and supporters of his family, before the doors opened on Saturday evening, had raised $100,000 towards the fight of MND. Wow. And on the evening, due to the incredible generosity of people within that industry and within his network, donated so many experiences and opportunities that went under raffle and lucky draw and silent auction and loud auction items, that by the end of the evening in the room, and I have no doubt that beyond Saturday there will be a rounding out of this, $175,000 were raised to contribute through Tassie Freezing for MND, through to Fight MND, to continue the important work that's done to support people in the community faced with living with MND and their families and people that support them, to extend the opportunities for research and the great work that Fight MND do to create those guidelines and the frameworks for the work around MND research. On the night, the room was filled with emotion and filled with energy, and one of the other reasons why Greg agreed to have the dinner, not only to raise funds, was to give the industry actually an opportunity to come together and to have a pause, because we all know that the industry is overheated and there's lots going on and there's lots of challenges. Yes, it's buoyant, but with that comes challenge, hard finding workforce, hard getting supplies, all those things that mean that this industry actually is under pressure right now. And Greg thought it would be a great opportunity for them, that they don't always come together just to relax and be together. And so the night was full of opportunities for that. It was hard. I emceed the evening. It was hard sometimes to bring them to the attention of what was going on in the room, but there were 3 moments through the night where you could hear a pin drop. Bravely, demonstrating his courage and his inspiration, Greg joined on the stage Andrew, who'd been one of the lead organisers, to speak briefly about his gratitude to the industry and the people in the room, but also his personal experience. And it was a really important moment for Greg and his family, Wendy, his beautiful wife, and his children, Nathan and Jared, for him to have that moment in the room. The other part of the evening where you could hear a pin drop was a beautiful success story out of Launceston, but from Tasmania, where Dr. Rosie Clark, who is at the Menzies Institute, who with a team of people is actually leading research into MND here right in Tasmania, a Lonnie girl, who is the first person ever in the world through her PhD research. A lot of MND research is about the overheating or the overexcitement of activity, and she came across this concept of balance of, well, what if we could inhibit that, and what work could we do? And this is my paraphrasing clearly of what is a very clever concept from Dr. Rosie, but she's the first person in the world that actually said this is something you should look at, and she's leading that research right here from Tasmania. And she gave a presentation that I imagine was quite confronting for Greg to hear about all of these challenges, but to everybody in the room, it consumed their attention for them to learn more about MND and the impacts of MND. And the third moment of the night, Nathan and Jared, Greg's boys, came up onto the stage to thank everybody for what they had done on the night, and to talk about Greg as a father and how his parenting of them had framed them as husbands and fathers in community. So tonight I wanted to stand to celebrate Greg Green, an incredible man who will continue to make an incredible contribution in our community, and to say to Wendy and Nathan and Jared, we stand with you and we will fight back against what is MND.